chance to seal it. It's done. It's Jordan Hugill. Rotherham United's pathway back to the Championship is opening up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Happy Easter. Welcome to New York Talk.
Happy Easter.
On this lovely Sunday evening. I think it is this weekend. Days get away from us, don't they? We have a win. We have a lovely, lovely Friday to talk about at New York Stadium. 3-1 victory. Plenty of happenings. Most of them Jordan Hugill, to be honest with you. But we'll talk about that as the night progresses. Mix with us. How you doing, Michael?
All good, mate. Thank you. All good, you?
Yeah, very, very good. Danny's back with us. How are you going, Danny?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I've already eaten one Easter egg and taking 2 bunnies on the bus tomorrow.
Good start. And all you Ben fans. Go on, Mick.
I'm not sure what that means, but go on, carry on.
Chocolate bunnies, Mick.
All right, sorry.
Quickly moving on. And all you Ben fans, Ben is back from the NFL Academy. How is it going, Benjamin?
It's going all right, yeah? I'm all right.
Yeah, it's good. So, John's in the comments. We'll start with this first. We all think that Ben looks a bit like Cam Humphries. I think he looks more like Cam Humphries when you're close up, to be honest with you. John Morell says Ben is back. He highly recommends that he's a 70s film style look. I don't know, which one would you prefer, Ben? Should we not
I prefer Cam Humphries and 70s film star.
Yeah. I could think of something worse, but yeah. Fair enough.
I mean, there's a worse type of film star, but anyway, we'll move on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Moving on. Dave Lawson says, evening all, boing, boing. Like it very much. Josh Insley's with us. He predicted 3-1. Very, very well done. Stephen Thomas, Kim Haywood, Graham Lindley are all with us. YouTuber says, good evening, gentlemen. Bring on Norwich. Yeah. Lucas Wildgoose, yeah. The pitch seemed very, very much drier than last time. Which is it's true. The pitch looked nice, to be fair. Better than underwater last time we saw it. Mick, do you want to mention the banner? The Just Giving page that
the banner that's not on yet. Yeah,
Yes.
not a problem. It's just a quick mention for Andy Womble, who's the son of Trevor Womble, the ex-Miller, played for the Millers in the 70s. Bit of a legend, to be honest. Trevor's suffering from dementia now, unfortunately, and Andy is doing the Three Peaks Walk to raise some cash for Dementia UK. So if you're feeling generous, the Just Giving page, the details of the Just Giving page will run along the bottom of the podcast tonight. So please, if you can spare some cash, contribute to Andy's fundraiser. They're aiming to raise 500 quid. I think they're about 180, 190 at the moment. So anything we can do to get them towards that target will be very much appreciated, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll retweet it from the podcast account as well. So if you can't, if you watch it, if you're listening on an audio podcast, just go onto our Twitter page. You will find it up on there somewhere.
Yes.
Chris Page says Tom Selleck's in the room. There's no wonder Ben doesn't turn up very often, is there?
I don't know who that is. So I'm not gonna acknowledge.
Yeah,
it.
it's been before Ben's time. I can't even see. Did you watch? Yeah. So, he is still alive, if that helps.
Okay.
Let's move on. Let's talk about some football. A 3-1 win on Saturday, which turned out to be a crucial. It was always going to be crucial, but the results as they turned out, we could have been level on points with the relegation zone. So, crucial, huge 3 points in the season. Let's start with the negative, Danny, and that was the goal that was conceded. Just get it out of the way, because other than that, it's all plain sailing positivity. Jordan Hugill gave away the penalty. Mick, we'll come on to Mick's view in a minute. Initially, but you can't go in like that. It was just the kindest thing I can say is it was a striker's tackle. I thought it was silly.
You've took the words right out of my mouth there, Matt. It were exactly a centre forward's challenge in the box. Jordan Hugill was absolutely everywhere. He was in thick action the whole time. I mean, we've talked about being a one-man team in the past, but Hugill effectively did everything himself, bar Fosu's goal. Because he missed a sitter, then gave away a penalty, scored a brace, nearly scored a hat-trick. So, yeah, he was more or less everywhere. But like you said, centre forwards challenge in the box. I mean, looking at the replays, you could argue that their player's gone down a little bit softly, but it's one of them challenges where you feel the contact and there is contact, and he's gone down and he's given the penalty away. I mean, I thought it was a penalty at the time as well, and it's like, oh no, here we go, first and all that. Victor was very unlucky, in my opinion, not to save it. It was afterwards the shot was actually slower than he thought it was going to be.
The shot went past it, didn't it?
Yeah, and he was so close to saving it. I thought he'd saved it. If you watch the replay, there's a very ecstatic Danny thinking he saved it, and then I realised it's gone in. So that's hard lines for Victor. That he was upset with himself, but yeah, it's a penalty. That's all it is.
Yeah, no
complaints from me about it.
We were very far away, mate, but you were not very happy at the time, were you? But I think you've changed your mind, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, it was heat of the moment stuff. It looked the way it went down from the distance where you were at. It looked soft, shall we say? It looked like a boat one, but I bow to the knowledge of people who were closer than I was. So if they're saying it's a pen, it's a pen.
Yeah. Jamie with a valid point. Yeah, what's frustrating? We've had more fouls, more convincing, and haven't been awarded a penalty. Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll go on to another penalty incident in a moment, possibly. Josh Hugill also points out another negative. His right has potentially broken something, his ankle or his foot, possibly, which is a big blow. But there's not much more we can say on that. It's really, it's unfortunate for him, Mick. I was supposed to mention that. Defensively, we were really good. This sort of leads into defenses. Coming to Jordan Hugill. Defensively, with and without Bailey Wright, I thought defensively we were excellent. We really frustrated them. We'll talk about them in a bit more detail later on. But you've got to give our defence all the credit in the world, because other than one moment where the striker gave away a penalty, we were never in danger, were we?
No, we weren't. We weren't, not at all. They were absolutely solid. It's great to see Yelder back. And that's no disrespect to Colin Bramall whatsoever. But they were absolutely rock solid. And even when Bailey Wright went off, Blackett came on, and I'm sorry, John, I know you won't agree with this, but he was outstanding. He was absolutely solid as a rock. So no issues there at all. Defensively, we were excellent.
Yes, we were. Yelder even nearly scored in the first half. That was that absolute thunderbolt.
Yeah,
it just hit the keeper. Anywhere else, and it's in the back of the net. Really unfortunate for that one. But yeah, Ben, you should never boo a former player. That's the moral of the story. I don't care if he misses a sitter and gives away a penalty. Don't boo him.
No, especially five minutes into the game, whatever it was. I think it was less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably his best game for Rotherham, and yeah, they just motivated him even more. And I mean, who else was it? Was it Freddie? They did the same thing. And then he scored from that corner. Like, you just don't do it. It's bad luck. You can do it after the game, or if you're winning 3-0, but you never do it when it's 0-0. 5 minutes in, never do
it. Yeah. How good was Hugill, Danny? I mean, he got 2 goals, so it's very, very easy to say out of his best performance for Rotherham United. But for me, we just put ball in box, and he attacked it, and it went really well. I don't think he played as well as we're making out. I thought he had a really good game, but I think he's been pretty consistent, to be honest with you. I don't think he was above and beyond. He just scored.
I think with Hugill, he is a little bit of an Ollie Rathbone character, where he's consistent every game, but you tell when all the pieces aren't moving correctly, if that makes sense. Yeah. You know, it's like we said against Hull that he didn't really get the service that he thrives off. You know, the balls into the 6-yard box or in the box in general, or effectively balls over the top. You know, didn't get them against Hull. Got him in boatloads against West Brom. And he got 2 goals, and he could have actually had 4 on the day. So yeah, I think his performance shone through because we did the things that gets him chances, you know. And that's what it is. It's deep crosses into the penalty area from corner kicks and from out wide and getting the ball into dangerous areas. We did it in boatloads, and I think we had 24-ish
Well, I've
Something
got a
around
stat
there.
for you on that one.
Yeah, go
so
on then.
with 21 stats in 21, I think, in total. So in the last 3 games, we've had 2 shots on target. We had 10 on Friday.
There you
We
go.
scored some goals.
There
Look what
you
happens.
go. Funny, isn't it? You shoot at goal and you score goals. I swear it was Mark Lowery who quoted that back in the day. But yeah, we just created more chances, and look what's happened effectively. It'll be much harder to create as many chances against Norwich, I think. But I saw the stat today that we're like the 5th most clinical team from shots on target, something like that. At the top, it's like, I don't know, like Middlesbrough, Burnley, Sheffield United, all them, and then suddenly Rotherham's there. Like, I don't know how we've got there, but we have.
It's because we don't have any shots, Danny. That's why.
Probably. But when we do get a shot on target, it's probably going to go in, you know. Apart from the one we'll talk about in a minute, but we were a lot better against West Brom, and if we take that confidence into Norwich, we should, and I'm putting big quotation marks next to should, be okay.
Yeah. Troops travelling Roma for Explorers. Great result for Rotherham, but they were really poor. Yes, Mick, that is true. I thought West Brom were bad, particularly in the second half. You know, in the last 20 minutes, they gave up. I think Ben mentioned that when we watched it. I think they did give up. But at what point do you sort of say, yeah, they weren't great, but they weren't great because we didn't let them be great. We put them under immense pressure, particularly in the second half. That's down to us. Do we deserve? Are we maybe underplaying Rotherham United because West Brom, we think they played badly?
Well, I mean, West Brom are a big club, aren't they? You know, they've got Premier League pedigree. They're a big club in inverted commas. So yeah, it must be down to them being crap and not us being excellent. That seems to be the way it goes, doesn't it? You know what I mean? No, I thought they're not the worst side they've played this season by any stretch. I don't think. At New York, the worst team to come down here so far this season is Bristol City, and they beat us.
That's true.
They were woeful. But I think you're right. I think we put them under pressure. I think they kind of believed their own hype and expected that they were just going to be walking out with 3 points and not have to do up for it. And they got a bit of a shock. And then, like you said, towards the back end of the game, certainly. I mean, Ben would probably argue for the 3rd goal, but certainly after the 3rd goal, they just threw a towel in. They weren't interested. They spat the dummy out. They started getting all tetchy and a bit nasty and what have you. But yeah, they weren't awful. They were just bang average.
Yeah.
But listen, with the exception of Burnley, this division is bang average, and it is. There's no question about it. You know, and we're down where we are because we've not been quite bang average often enough, and that's why we are where we are. But yeah, I thought we deserve the result, and we deserve the result because of the way we played, not because of the way they played. That's my.
I think so. Yeah, I agree. But on that, also, Ben, I thought first half. Again, this may go against what some people think, but I thought first half we were okay. I thought we attacked in spells. I don't think we put them under any intense pressure for that 45 minutes. We came out level. Maybe could have won. Maybe could have been leading at half time. Had handball not happened on the line, which we'll talk about in a moment. But we were still better than them. But we then had another level and took it to the next level in the second half, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, it is hard to tell sometimes, you know, like whether it was us that's good or it's them that's bad, especially when you're just watching the game and you don't know, like, because we don't know what their game plan was, we don't know what our game plan was, we don't actually know the truth in that if they were just bad or we shut them down and then they were bad after that and we were just good. So you don't know about that. What were the question?
we improved. So for the first half, we were okay, I thought, but second half we took it up a level, didn't we?
Yeah, I thought in the first half an hour, I thought it had potential to be a really long day. I thought that they were showing some signs of good, but we were showing no effort. Fergie were drossing first 25 minutes. We're trying. There were a couple of players like that, and it it looked like it could be when that penalty went in. I thought it could be 3 or 4-0, but it weren't. Obviously,
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say dross, but I would say it was okay in the first half.
Yeah. Well, I think was it you? It might have been you or Mick that said, "Well, stats say that we should go home."
Yeah,
and I thought it could be 4-5 now.
There's always that worry. West Brom have got quality players, haven't they? If you give those type of teams a lifeline or a leg up almost, then you've got to worry. And like we said, Danny, with the stats, without record pre-Friday, you fear the worst. You go 1-0 down, and you genuinely fear, right, this is going to be Coventry game where we lose essentially comfortably 2-0, and Bristol City where we end up losing 3-1. You've got to give so much credit to the players that they found a way to turn that around, and because they didn't, the heads didn't drop. They were back up straight away. That goal almost galvanised us, which it's not done all season.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about quality from West Brom's end. That effort from DK that Victor did a very, very good save with. That is exactly what we're up against. Those moments of brilliance that undo us. Like it happened against Reading. 2 moments of brilliance undid us, and that was that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it might have been the manner in which we did concede, because it's sort of different conceding from a penalty, because off the top of my head, it's like an 80% conversion rate, so it's silly like that. So it's a different manner when you concede to a penalty than someone's mistake or like effectively leaving a gap and them exploiting it, etc. But yeah, it was the first time all season we've come from behind to win. Obviously we drew against Swansea. It only took us until April, which at least we've done it. That's the point. We've done it. We've finally broken the duck, and hopefully, if it happens again, we can go in with the West Brom mentality of we've done it once, we can do it again. It's took us a very long time to break it, but we're now over that hill. And we've also shown we've got the quality from set pieces and from open play to get back in games. So, Matt Taylor, take it away.
Yeah, there's an Easter joke in there somewhere about coming from behind for the first time at Easter. I can't quite work it out. There's something there. So if anyone in the comments wants to work it out for me, I'd appreciate that. Mike the Miller says, Ben, did you really just say that Fergie wasn't trying? I'll let you come back on that.
I did say that in the first 25 minutes. Well, this is what it looked like to me, and I might be wrong, could be wrong, may well be wrong. It looked like he was trying to show that he was trying, but he wasn't. Like it was, I can't get that. Oh no, I can't do that. Just little things like that, and you weren't anticipating. You were just going through motions. That's it. Wasn't trying, going through the motions.
Yeah, I thought Fergie was one of the only ones that didn't have a really, really good game. I thought he was fine. I don't think he shone like some of the other players. But we're gonna have a positive show tonight. The first goal, let's talk a bit more detail. The first goal, Connor Coventry with the assist from the corner. We're definitely going to talk about Connor Coventry in a minute. But he just showed that getting the ball in the box, it's a corner, so you're obviously going to do that. But it just showed what kind of havoc that we can cause, and that Jordan Hugill can cause, because he can win headers. He's a big, strong bloke, and he'd been booed for nearly 45 minutes. So you've got to put teams under pressure, and we did, and it paid off.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I said
Did you say me?
Mick.
No,
I was going to say.
Hey, listen, Ben, I thought he said Danny. So
I thought he said Ben.
I was waiting for someone else to respond, because I thought he said. I didn't think he said Ben or not.
I realised that as soon as there's an awkward silence, it must be me. So, I said before, just as he took it, for God's sake, beat first man, because his corners were never beating the first man, and this one did, and ended up in back at net. So yeah, it was a decent corner, and Hugill, he were having that. He was having that. It was one of them when it had so much stake, and then he'd given away a penalty. I don't think anybody wants to get in his way, to be fair. But the zonal marking, zonal marking from corners. I don't know whether I've mentioned this before, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And there you go. You leave somebody like Hugill free, and they did. It's going to hit back at net sooner or later. So hopefully Norwich employ the same tactics. It's just madness, isn't it? It's just a madness tactic. I don't get it. I'm sure some highly qualified coach will be able to explain it to me, but once they have done, it doesn't work.
It's pretty, innit? It's just pretty. It's like tiki-taka. It's just pretty. It's how you're supposed to play football.
Yeah. It's the way that you're supposed to defend. So
but it don't work.
But that's why we maybe on Friday we targeted that, because every time we put the ball in the box when it beat the first man, it looked like we were going to have some joy every single time, and obviously it did twice.
Well, if you put a solid idea and a solid plan behind a few literally I know it's a set piece, but set pieces, like set movements from the players, if you put thought and time behind that against a team who doesn't necessarily train set pieces as much and just says, well, zone or mark, and then goes over it for 20 minutes in training and then don't visit it for 2 weeks. Like, you know what I mean? What did I say? I forgot what I was saying.
Well, you've made your point. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's usually me forgetting what I'm on about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you put time and effort into creating a set piece and you go against a team like that, it's going to work. And that's especially when you're down there. I know it's cliche, but you look at some managers in the past, Warnock, Sean Dyche, they use set pieces to advantage because some people kind of take it for granted.
Yeah, I think they do. Josh, just halfway through the half, his granddad said that Coventry is terrible, and so did the people next to him. Next minute, another terrible corner. 5 minutes later, he assists the goal. There you go. The half ended with a little bit of controversy, Ben. Now, I don't know which part of the controversy you want to talk about. There was let's talk about the handball on the line first, which I think came from the Hugill header, which came off the bar onto his arm. I'm willing to give the referee the benefit of the doubt because I think he's got a couple of bodies to look through. And the lino's wrong side because of where the lino is on the pitch, that the lino can't see that. There's just no way for the lino to see that. I thought the referee had a pretty good game. There's maybe a moment or two, but I thought the referee had a really, really solid game. But it was a penalty, but I understand why he didn't give it. How did you see it?
Yeah, I saw the handball, but I didn't acknowledge the handball, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't clock on that it was handball until 20 seconds after and gone, he's just volleyballed it off at thing, because I was too busy looking at linesmen and ref to see if you were looking at his watch or not. But I mean, you look on Twitter and the replay, it looks like it's gone in. Not the Hugill header, but the Chio header. It looks like the volley. Yeah. It looks like it's bounced out, hit his arm, bounced back out a little bit, and then they've stopped it. So I don't know what happened with that. But
here's the thing. Do you want to know why kickoff was delayed by about 5 minutes? It's because Hawkeye wasn't working when the game kicked off. Now, if you watch Hugill's header, the one that comes off the bar and hits the player's chest, that wasn't the one that was checked. The one that was checked is the one that came off the player that hit his hand. I think I'm trying to remember that Les Payne said sort of rolled down his body and off his arm. I mean, you've seen certain angles from the away end and stuff that didn't happen, but that's the one that Hawkeye checked, and that was the one that wasn't in, but it was like on the line by like 3/4 of an inch, something stupid.
But they didn't measure it from the right time, though.
They didn't. They didn't measure it from Hugill's header. They've measured it from when the players hit it, and it's like sort of gone off and effectively coming off his body, and that's where they measured it from. Because if you watch the extended highlights on iFollow, it shows you the check, but it doesn't show you the check on anything else. Interestingly, but yeah, we're a bit of a now then when you put the pieces together, it's interesting. I mean, we won the game, so it don't matter, but we very nearly had a Sheffield United against Aston Villa situation on our hands. So we're interesting.
It's one of those. I feel sympathy for the referee because the referee can't see the handball. Lino can't see the handball. The goal line technology has nothing to do with them. The Lino can't I don't think the Lino can overrule the technology. I think Lino had some issues with putting his flag up on Friday. But that particular incident, I think they got it wrong. I think they got both decisions wrong. But you can't blame anybody on field for it.
No, I mean the linesman's flag weren't working when it was broke. Poor lad. Even when there was a corner or a goal kick, he refused to flag for it, didn't he? Yeah. Walked at corner. I'm not flagging. But yeah, I mean, the linesman can't see it from there. If the referee's got players in his way, which, you know, it's a crowded penalty area, I fully accept that he's not seen the handball, you know, and it is a clear handball.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. So, no, I mean, it's easy to say from a 3-1 position of a 3-1 victory, isn't it? You know, if we're losing 1-0 and we end up losing the game 1-0, then maybe I might paddy a little bit more. But given the circumstances, reality of it is that the referee, you can't blame the referee. I do have an issue with the, and again, it's not, it doesn't matter to us, but looking at the way that the ball's measured using Hawkeye when it's shown on the screen, it hits the player, bounces off the player, and then it's measured. It's not measured when it hits the player.
Just for people watching on YouTube, you can see from the top of my thumb to the top of the tape measure, that's how far the ball's on the line.
33 millimeters, apparently.
Yeah, 33 millimeters on to Cheryl Stone and Nicholas.
I wonder with the technology whether it's allowed. I don't know, because it can't measure arms, can it? I wonder if the arms got in the way of the technology, because it's hit the arm, bounced off the arm, and then they've done the measurement. So I wonder if the arms.
How does it work? I don't get how it works in the first place.
I don't know.
Camera.
It must be some sort of scanner that measures the ball, because you've seen them measure the ball before, where they hold it up and scan it round. So maybe that's something Howard Webb does it factor in body parts and everything? We don't
exactly. If that's the case, if someone's studying with a scanner, does it not work?
People. That's one of the things that happened with the Aston Villa one at Sheffield United. I think
because the keeper had it,
bodies
didn't
in the wrong way.
Yeah. Because keeper had it and he went inside the post. But yeah, anyway.
John Reynolds, it's nice to know that liners are starting to elbowing people. Howard have got bigger things to worry about than goal line technology at New York State.
Yeah.
It'd be one of them where it's like right at the bottom of the email that is sent to someone.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, this didn't work properly. Yeah, Barry.
It were a Liverpool player. It's not a problem. And let's be fair. I know we're going off topic.
Well,
if that linesman that actually elbowed him, Robertson's screaming on the floor like.
No, he's not.
Moving on.
It's Robertson. No, I'm just saying it's Robertson. It's not Nunes, is it?
Again, off topic. Did you hear Roy Keane after the game?
Yeah.
No.
He just kept calling Andy Robertson a baby over and over again. Big baby Andy Robertson. It's just a baby. If you can't see it, go watch it. Roy Keane's a gem. Jordan Hugill in the action again. Ben, this is his second goal of the game. This one took me a bit by surprise because it seemed like it came from really far out. And I don't know whether the goalkeeper was unsighted or what, but it just took me by shock that it actually eventually hit the back of the net. But maybe that's how good a header it was.
Yeah, I remember seeing the ball go into the box. It was a free kick, wasn't it? I remember seeing it go into the box.
Again, or
Fergie.
I think it was Fergie. And I remember going into the box, and I remember him heading it. Or like I just remember seeing, and you don't really see who heads it, do you? You just see loads of bodies go towards it, and then I just see it going in, and it caught me by complete surprise because I thought keeper were going to get to it. I thought it was from edge of box, and it looked like one of them slow headers, but it was just perfectly placed, and it was just beautiful and perfect that it was Hugo again.
Yeah, and again, a great response from just after half time. Then we scored just before half time, shortly after half time. They're two of the best times to score because you kill the half-time team talk before half-time and you score afterwards, and you've just killed the talk that they actually did have. It's a really good time to score, and it really did just put them sort of back in their place a little bit.
Yeah, it did, and it was great that it was Jordan Hugill. He sent the game one way, even away the penalty, and then sent it the other way by scoring a brace. But yeah, like you say, Ben, the ball seemed to hang in the box really, really long. It was really slow. I thought the keeper was just going to collect it, but it sort of bounced in that one awkward position, and then the keeper's not got to it in time. And I was actually quite annoyed because I was halfway through eating a pie when he scored. So again, if you watch the replays, there's me jumping up and down with the pie still in my hand. So thankfully I didn't lose it this time. But yeah, like I say, great time to score. Completely nullified whatever team talk they had. And we sort of just cracked on from there. There were only like 2 times where they really threatened in the second half. And we just sort of handled it. You know, that 45 minutes where we got the goal back and kicked on, we sort of just handled it correctly. Chio could have scored 2 absolute scorchers of goals. The one that led to Fosu's goal and the one later on in the half as well that came off the crossbar. So we just sort of cracked on. And I think that's the mentality we need to get forward. We need to get back on level terms if we do go behind and then crack on with it. And if we do that now we've beaten West Brom and carry it on in future, who knows? We could see another win from behind.
It's a habit, isn't it? And winning in general is a habit, but finding a way to go behind, and I think it's very easy for teams just to sort of go, we've gone behind. That's you know, the stats. Even if you're not Rotherham United, the stats are against you when you go behind. It's very easy for heads to drop, especially when you're bottom at the table and you feel like everything's going against you. So to find a way to drag yourself out of that position, even if it was, you know, Hugill was a huge part of it, it led by example, certainly in that first, in both of those goals, which was pretty special. Before we talk about the third goal, because we've got to talk about the third goal, because it was the best. Let's give some other players some praise. Matt Squires says Harding's best game for a while. We'll go to the president of the Wes Harding fan club, Mick. He were back. Wes were back, wasn't he? And I was so pleased that he were back. He did everything right. It was pretty quiet, you know, but he putting a few crosses, defensively really, really solid. That's the Wes. That's Wes all over.
Yeah, and for all those people saying that he's not good enough for this league, in your face, absolutely he is. There is no question about it in my mind. He's been out of touch. That's all. It's as simple as that. And he was back to being Wes on Saturday. Absolutely solid as a rock. Had a shot in the second half, which with his left foot, which would have taught back at net off had it got through because he hit it with some right pace. But no, I mean, listen. Wes Harding is a quality footballer. He's a championship footballer all day long. But he's been out of touch. He's back in there. He's back. Wes is back. And it's just about right as well that because Lee Peltier obviously suffering from an injury as well. So he stepped in and stepped up. Absolute fantastic. Really pleased for Wes because it must have been getting him down, his form and, you know, his performances and everything else. So love him.
Yeah, but no, that's not much else to say, Ben, is the way I suppose. He has been bang out of touch. Matt, to be fair to Matt Taylor sort of credit, he just took him out. He took him out of the team. Peltier obviously started, and that seems to have worked. It seems to have just got his head right. Because for me, with Wes, it's always mental. Whenever he has a brain fart, it's just that's all it is. He's not bad. He's just got a brain fart. And it was just solid along with the rest of the back, well, 5 if you count Blackett coming on. They were solid as a rock, all of them. Yeah,
I would say it's only one game though, isn't it? You know, he's had one good game. It's not like he's had 4 good games on bounce. He had one good game against an average team where we won 3-1. So it's kind of hard to, you know, no one really had a bad game, did they? It's kind of hard to tell.
Ben.
You know what I mean? Yeah, but everything's all happy sunshine when you win. But if he lost and he played like that, what would you be saying about it? You know what I mean? It was an all right performance. He's just, for me, he's so good at making the tackle, slide tackling, and right timing. The timing of the tackle is so good. I don't know why he didn't play over Peltier, to be honest. In my opinion, I think he's better than Peltier. But Peltier
because he went out of touch.
I don't know about that one. I think he favours. I think in a Taylor in my head and said favours. I think Taylor favours experience of a.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Harding. But I think that for me, I don't know why. I don't know why I haven't been playing. I know he's been out of touch, I guess, but he's when he's good, he's a solid right back for this division. Yeah,
he is. John Morell says nailed on to be a Derby player come this summer. What's that happen? Troops travel Romosh as well. So I don't think Taylor likes him. I think Ben's right. I think he just prefers Peltier, which I get. But Wes gives you that cross in the first half, which I think Hugill should have scored from, or maybe won the header and it went over. That's what Wes gives you that Peltier doesn't, which is really, really important. We'll come on to a couple of individual performances because there's something more to mention. But the third goal, Danny, the best goal of the afternoon, from almost start to finish. It started with a darting run from Chio, really deep. which allowed him to eventually get the shot of which hits the post. Fosu recycled it. We'll talk about Rathbone in more detail in a second, but Rathbone set up Fosu. And the Fosu, that I said to Mick at the time, that finish from Fosu was disgusting. It was just like an arrow. It was unstoppable. As soon as it left his foot, boom, 3-1, game over.
Yeah, like you say, we're starting with Ogbeny's run. He started his run really deep, and West Brom players just sort of back off from him, don't they? And you'll sort of open up the pitch in front of him. And then he has that absolute rocket of a shot, which cannons off the post. And then it's recycled by first Fosu and then Rathbone. Then Rathbone plays starting, just go back to Chio. I think Chio actually hits his pass, intending it to go all the way out to Fosu. But Rathbone sort of just picks it up and then recycles it to Ogbeni to begin with. And then Rathbone's involved again. So he's completely in the thick of it after coming back from injury and not refusing to play. And then, with Fosu, it's a great finish, but it's not a great finish with how he hits the ball, if I'm being completely honest, because he sort of just toe pumps it and it goes in. And he had the celebration of someone who definitely hasn't scored in 2 years because he just didn't celebrate initially. No, and it's sort of Lindsay and Hugill have pushed him over, going, "Go on, have your moment. You've just scored." It were almost like a little bit of an Aussie 2-2 moment without quite the grandeur of Wembley, you know. But I'm just happy to see Fosu score, if I'm being honest. That'll be a huge confidence boost to him. And hopefully he chips in with a couple more as well, because now he's got that confidence. Just needs to hit the ball, not with the tip of his toe. And
I think that way is a modern. It's a modern way. You should see. It's sort of a controlled toe poke, because when you toe poke it, you get a ridiculous amount of power on it, but you don't get any. You generally don't get any accuracy. The modern way of players of sort of championship level and maybe low end Premier League is it just rifles it up, because not only does you get a ridiculous amount of power, it gives it lift as well. I don't know. I might be giving too much credit.
It might not be a toe punt in the traditional sense, where when you crack a ball a bit too hard, it breaks your big toe. like you say, it lifts it up, so it might get slightly underneath it, because effectively the keeper is expecting you to go low and hard.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you get underneath it and it goes effectively high and hard, then it's effectively, in a sense, unsavable, because it just clips the crossbar as it goes in as well. So in that sense, it is a fantastic goal. But the way the football coach used to teach me, never toe punt it. So I'm a bit, but yeah. If there is modern method behind the madness, then he's done it very, very well.
Yeah. John Morales says controlled toe poke. Matt, do you realise what you just said? I know, but I see it too often for it not to be accident. There's too many people that do it that do it like that. Again, I might be, Fosu seems too good a player just to be sticking a taunt in there and open at best.
You don't need any lift back though, do you?
That's it. There's clearly method behind it because people do it. But again, it's a controlled toe poke's probably not the right term for it. Chris Tether says, "What about the 3 blocks just before Chio hit the post, Mick?" Now this does bring us on to Mr. Rathbone popping up on 65 minutes or whatever it was. The ovation he got when he went to warm up was ridiculous. Yeah. And it sort of maybe takes a shine away from Conor Coventry and Jamie Lindsay, but when Rathbone came on, he was so good again. He's been off injured for a month, and he's just throwing himself into tackles left, right, and centre. He's just an absolute madman, isn't
he? Yeah, the words right out of my mouth. Absolute madman. But he just brings that energy in there, and there was plenty of energy in there this time. Let's not overlook, and I know you won't, I know you'll come on to it, but Jamie Lindsay was outstanding, absolutely outstanding on Friday. And we basically just brought another Jamie Lindsay on, which is possibly one of the reasons why they just threw a towel in, because Jamie Lindsay made it hard enough, and then on comes Ollie Rathbone. And those 3 challenges, no quarter was given by them or us as well. To be fair to West Brom, they went into the challenges in the same fashion and got up, dusted themselves down, and got on with it. It was proper football in the build up to it, and then we saw some real class. I thought The run from Ogbenny, like you say, was outstanding. The shot was an absolute bullet. Came back off, rattled the post, and then the little interplay between Ollie Rathbone and Fosu and the finish was just great, fantastic. So, yeah. What was the question?
Really?
Ollie Rathbone. What can you say? There's no else to say, is there? Ollie Rathbone, he's just Ollie, and he causes havoc for the opposition whenever he goes.
Yeah. He just shows how important player he is, Ben. Again, we are going to talk about these other players because they deserve credit, but Ollie Rathbone takes you to another level. Whether your start level's not very good and he just brings you up a bit, or the start level was really, really good for an hour, and it did get better when he came on. And we talk about Ben Wiles maybe over-egging him because he's not been playing for a while, but Ollie Rathbone is so important to us.
Yeah, football's a game of momentum, and like I don't know if anyone watched the Liverpool Arsenal game earlier. Momentum is so big, and once you have a little spark like that, it honestly it's unreal because it gets everybody else up, it gets the fans up, especially when you're at home.
Yeah.
It gets the fans up, it gets everybody else ready to go, and it just gives you that little bit of edge, and he just gives it 24/7. And listen, him and Lindsay in middle together looked ridiculous. They were ridiculous. I don't know why that's not there more often, because especially in the fight that we're in, relegation battle, I don't know why you want anyone else in, because it's, you know what I mean, teams like West Brom, teams like West Brom, but teams like I mean that in a good way. Teams like West Brom, who are high up in the league, chasing playoffs, coming down to Rotherham, these are 20th in league, or going to be 3 points. We can't play football with some of the teams in this division, so you just need to outfight them. With Rathbone and Lindsay, I think he'd be so good. But he's unreal, Rathbone. He is unreal.
Yeah, he is.
I don't know if he's got any lungs or what, but Jesus Christ.
So, because he was throwing his head and body at one point worried me from getting a card as he does. Yeah. Nicola Elliott, says Ollie coming on at the end and the lift he gives is similar to what when Frex returned. Yeah, we talked about the Frex comparison. It's just growing and growing, isn't it? Especially where he plays further forward than he did last season. Matt Taylor really trusts him more than the previous management, a bit further forward. Yeah, it's so important. We've got to keep it. You wrap him in cotton wool because you've just got to have Ollie Rathbone. Even if it's for 20 minutes, Danny, we saw yesterday. If that game weren't balanced and it was 1-1. He would have still done the same sort of thing. He would have still taken us to that other level, and it just gives an extra whatever percent. And we've got to keep him fit.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we've seen how up and down we've been without Ollie in the team. And like Ben says, that game of momentum, I think we got a momentum boost when Ollie came back on. We got a momentum boost when he was warming up.
Exactly.
Because it was like a player we'd not seen for about 6 years has returned to the club. Well, when Georgie got his first team sheet at New York, it was like, right, here we go. And Ollie did exactly that. When he got on the pitch, he got himself stuck in straight away, as he does. Got his effectively weekly booking, and just got going with it, and really got his teeth into it. And I was a bit fearful of him pushing himself a little bit too hard. Yeah. It's like, you've just come back from a groin injury that you've had to have an injection for, and he's here, there, and everywhere already. So it must be a lot better since the injection, I hope. And
you said he had an injection?
Yeah, it was.
Why he didn't want to play?
No, well, yeah.
Well, if he didn't want to play,
cash. That's what it were, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, if he didn't want to play before, he must have signed a new contract because now he's off and away, isn't he?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just it was just Ollie back to being Ollie. And it might warrant a start on Monday if he's starting fit. Maybe not. I don't think. Because it might be a little bit too much to do. 60 minutes. Because when did he come on? He came on for about
65-ish, something like that.
Yeah, he came on for about 30 minutes, didn't he? So maybe it's a bit more of a push to give him 60, but we'll have to wait and see.
His dad were bad as well. His dad tweeted that he'd been in hospital over the weekend as well, which is obviously not something that I would want to deal with as well. But it's all fine now. So, best wishes to Mick.
Yes, best wishes to Mick.
Not this Mick, other Mick.
No, not me,
Mick.
obviously.
Yeah.
We'll start saying Baz so we don't get them confused.
Yes. Donna from the Spotted Swim School, especially that tackle that saw him almost do the splits. He fell behind the money. That's not what you want when you got a bad groin, to be honest.
I felt that at the time. Never mind. Good grief.
Sam Hadfield, if Rathbone hadn't been injured for a month, we'd be safe by now. It's quite possibly true. Few other comments. John Morrell says the Tesco bags did their best to upset Hugill. It was comedy gold. Yes, it was. Troops Travel from Rush Explorer says, let's hope he continues to score. That's on Hugill. We need more points for safety. Carl Briggs, apart from the penalty, it felt like we were in control for most of the game. And all over West Brom at times. Yeah, I agree. Josh Hinsliff, I think, is right. Ajayi was horrendous, which was not. I almost didn't enjoy it. I know it helped us win the game, but I don't like seeing Semi have a bad game. I just like him too much. It really did help. Yeah. Anyway, Jamie Lindsay, Tom Hanfield says Jamie Lindsay for him won pretty much every battle in the middle of the park. Again, shows how important it is, especially if Rathbone isn't in. Yes. Harry says Connor Coventry was excellent. And John Morrell says local radio, which is down where Johnny's in Birmingham, were covering the game and said Coventry was excellent, ran the midfield, and they couldn't get near him all game. Yeah, Mick, it's time to give Connor Coventry some praise. First 20 minutes, half an hour, I don't think it was great. But second half, he was one of the best players on the pitch. That was easily his best 45 minutes in the red and white shirt. He was much more combative. He looked after the ball a lot more. A couple of wayward passes at times, but I can forgive that a little bit. That's what we want. That's the blueprint for Connor Coventry. Maybe for his entire career, I don't know, but certainly for Rotherham United, that is what we have to see from him going forward.
Yeah, it is absolutely. It was excellent, absolutely excellent, and it's really difficult to spot a player like Connor Coventry having a good game because that kind of player, you don't really see him. They do the dirty work. They don't really excel. You know what I mean? They don't really stand out. And to be fair, he didn't really stand out. He just did what he had to do, and he did it well. But the key to it, like you said, was it wasn't nashing out challenges, was he? He was getting stuck in, and he was breaking up play, keeping the ball well, and knocking it about well. He just did everything that you would expect of a player playing in that position, and he did it well. And his delivery for certainly for the first goal was excellent. So yeah, it was definitely his best game in a red and white shirt, and hopefully we can take some confidence from that and kick on. Because there's no doubt he's a quality footballer, you know. And I know, like you said, we've dug him out before on this podcast, and it's not necessarily because of his quality. It's perhaps more about his commitment, and his commitment was definitely there on Friday.
Go on, Ben.
I don't think you can judge the player's commitment from the stands.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
It's our view.
And the thing, your view. And the thing is also, sometimes in that position, that role, sometimes they're given different roles every game. Sometimes it's man mark. Sometimes it's, you know what I mean. So sometimes you don't see him, or sometimes you might think he's playing bad, but he's actually doing his job. It might look like he's playing bad, but he's doing his specific job.
I wonder whether because we are essentially comparing to Richie Smallwood. I know that might be boring to some people, but that's the role he is playing. And when Richie Smallwood here, the thing Richie Smallwood could do was he could go and take that game. He could do a bit of Rathbone, but obviously deeper. He could take that game by a scruff at neck, win 4 or 5 tackles, and the whole stadium gets up and the whole team gets up. I don't think Connor Coventry's got that ability to get everybody else up. I think he really relies on other teams. This is probably because of his age, to be honest. But I think because the whole team was up, that helped him drag along a little bit and maybe improve his performances. Now he's only 22 and he's not played too much football at that sort of senior level, so maybe that will come. But I think maybe, Danny, that we need to play well to get the best out of him, which is a really obvious thing, maybe a little bit, but that's the purpose of this loan, maybe to teach him that.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to confidence, really, doesn't it? You know, he seems to have confidence when the people around him and the team around him are doing well, which I suppose actually makes him quite a decent team player. You know, because he sort of bounces off the team, but the team bounces off him at the same time, if that makes sense. but as soon as his confidence is up, he shines through and proper shows why, he's had minutes with a Premier League team that's actually not doing too well at the minute, if I'm being completely honest. But, done really well in their academy system, should I say, and made that step up. But yeah, his loan to us is probably toughening him up a little bit, but also get him out somewhere that is going to be in dogfight. But so that builds him up as a player as well and gets him different level of experience in football, because it's all well and good winning all the time, but you still need that dogfight mentality, which I think he is starting to get, if I'm being honest, because Hull wasn't his best game, but his massive step up in the West Brom game is a bit, maybe it's clicking. He'll lose it at times, of course he will, which is why I'm never too harsh when I give him a bit of stick. But I can see it, he's getting there. If I'm being honest, he's getting there, and I think the next step up for him would actually be to score a goal. If I'm being honest, gets a goal, he's away. I think. Yeah,
possibly. John Morell says it's so good to have Ben back to correct Mick. I highly recommend it. John Morell says, looking like he could be playing against us next season, West Ham, possibly. Possibly so. Any other performances you want to pick out? We've gone through a lot of them. Cam Humphries was a sensation again. Big thumbs up about that one.
Blackett as well, to be fair, when he
Blackett
came
was great when he came on. I thought he was quietly good. I don't think he stood out. But if he's going to be just reliable like that, then we're quids in, aren't we? Really.
Makes you wonder why he's not been playing though.
His fitness. He's not been fit because he's not playing any games. He's been building his match fitness.
It might be time for the deep ends if Wright is out for the rest of the season as well.
Yeah, well, we'll be seeing Mr. Wood certainly back on the bench.
Yeah, this is rubbish. Where's this? This is awful. This is, in my opinion, I don't know. First of all, I might be wrong when I'm saying this. I'm not involved in the club or whatever, but in my opinion, from the outside looking in, the way Taylor's dealt with this Wood situation, and I could be completely wrong. It's really poor, really poor. Because it's a club legend. It could still give you 45 minutes a game, or not even 90 minutes a game, and he's a good player. But for him to not even be in the squad is from the outside in, he's poor. And we've seen him leaving early sometimes from the stadium. I don't know about him, but that's never good. Your leaders never leave early. So looking from the outside in, it looks like this has been dealt with really poor.
Is he leaving the stadium itself early, or leaving the stand for the changing room early?
Stadium.
Okay. Anyway, we ain't got time for this tonight, Ben. You make some interesting points, which some I agree with, some I don't, but we ain't got time to talk about it tonight. Sorry.
One more point. I don't know about the wonder save from Victor in that second half, where
he had to be sure. He had to cover his post just in case. Ball might have been in stand, might have already been there, but he had to get over just to be safe.
I mean, he was fantastic covering as a goalkeeper. I mean, ball had already back at stand when he started his dive, which it was. I mean, it's right up there with Jordan Hugill, that one. That as as gamesmanship, shall we say?
Yeah, John Joel, that was his Superman impression. Not the first minute on it either. We have to mention Victor because he had his family across for the weekend. Some of them will be there for the Norwich game as well. He came to Blue Coats after the game and stayed until about 8 o'clock at night, 7:30, 8 o'clock. Just sat talking to people, just having selfies with fans and going on FaceTime and speaking to people. We love his family. We've got to know his family a little bit, and they're some of the best people ever. They're just so good. And Victor's just, I said to you, Mick, that I can't believe how good he is with people. I know it's sort of his job a little bit, but he's just happy to sit and talk to anybody about anything. And I just so much time for him. It's just great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Absolutely top draw. Spending all that time and like I said, FaceTiming people's families and all sorts of stuff from. Yeah, it's it goes above and beyond, really. To be fair, because in that position, it must be. Surely, you would think it's a pain in the backside to have to do that sort of stuff. But no, he just gets on with it and enjoys it, doesn't he? Smile on his face. So, top man.
I mean, just taking the time out to FaceTime our lass while she was at work. to have a player like that, where obviously he's come to the pub after with his family. Thankfully, we won, so he didn't actually allow himself to show his face and didn't make any howlers. But just to have that sort of mentality where I suppose we look at Premier League things where, you know, the players, we all know the players are completely out of reach, but to have that more almost personal connection with players and seeing how human they are, from seeing them on the telly, it almost dehumanizes them, but to have them in person with you, you just see that they are really good people, especially Victor and his family. And just to have that, just in a pub, it was just excellent, you know. And just to have the time for people to like do FaceTime calls, do signings and everything, just ace. And then to make up a chant for his dad, Victor, well done. We'll be using that on the bus on Monday.
Which one was that? Was that Victor's dad?
Yeah.
Yeah. Victor's dad. No.
Save it for tomorrow.
Donna said when he met her grandson, he's always 6 years old and a goalkeeper. Victor said that one day he'll go watch him when he's playing at a pro. He probably won't because it'll be years down the line, but that's actually a great thing to say to a kid. Yeah, he's just got away with people, and I just want to give that a shout out. We all know how great he is, but we just want to give him a shout out. And we'll see if you're going to Norwich, you'll see the rest of the Swedes there as well. Be good. Right, back to the serious business, Ben. The relegation battle has got properly serious now. We are now sitting. We are in pole position. That sounds a bit cocky, really, but if you look at the table, we are in the best position of the threatened teams. Hull are not threatened; they're a level above. You've got Reading on 41 points. Obviously, had the points deduction. QPR on 42 points. Huddersfield on 42 points. Cardiff on 42 points, and Rotherham on 44 points. Blackpool and Wigan are probably dead and buried, to be honest with you. We were saying a few weeks ago that maybe 45 points will do you, maybe 47. Getting close to 50 now. These teams, Huddersfield are picking up points, Cardiff are picking up points. No, Cardiff only played Blackpool. Reading drew against Birmingham. It was a home game, which they may have targeted for more, but they did pick up a point. How are you feeling about the big picture? Maybe we're not just 2 wins, or maybe it is going to be 2 and a bit. Or what do you think?
I think the Cardiff game, that's it, really. I think if you win the Cardiff game and you get a couple of points here and there, I think we're safe. I think that's got to be circled in the calendar as that's our season. I think I said this to Mick. I said the minute that I said this when Warnock went to Huddersfield. The minute he went to Huddersfield, I tell you right now, they're not going down, and they won't go down. So I think Huddersfield are out of it. I don't class them as relegation rivals. I don't think they'll go down. Okay. But I think the Cardiff game. That's it. And we've been here before many times. Got experience in these, regardless of how much it looks like you want to exclude certain veteran players who have been in this position multiple times. You do need them in your squad, Woody. Because they've been here before. They've been successful and they've been unsuccessful. No, it's a serious point because he's been successful at this and he's been unsuccessful. He knows what works, and you need that. You need that experience. You need that that lack of nerves, if that makes sense. That lack of not nerves, but like that experience, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. You don't, because this is the one place where you don't want lack of experience, because this is all mental now.
This is why he keeps trying to play Pelty, isn't it? This is why he wants to play Pelty quite a lot of ways.
Other Wood, really?
Well, that's other.
Pelty knows the division more than Woody. If I'm being side, if I'm being honest.
Matt Squires and Nicholas Skidmore are calling out QPR as the team that are in serious bother. Yes, they are. But the question is, Danny, I mean, they could go the rest of the season without winning, but can they really go for the rest of the season without winning? It's been this run is so bad. At some point, it's got, even if it's just a couple of wins, they've got. My mind tells me that they can't continue being this bad for the last 6 games of the season, but maybe they can.
Maybe they can. I mean, we were absolutely appalling in the 16-17 season. Not to bring back everyone's memories of that, but and even then, we couldn't really string a win and a draw together.
No one comes.
You know, but like you say, QPR in such a huge free fall. It's sort of like you said, it's that mentality of they have to win at some point.
No.
You know, they have to get something at some point, but so far they haven't. But my one fear is like you've just said, if they do get that win by whatever means necessary, because it has happened to some of us. You know, it happened to us at Stoke. We won that by any means necessary. If QPR get a result like that, does that egg them on to get another win? And does that win, 2 wins become 3, etc.? But they've only got 6 games.
Do you want to know their fixtures?
To pull it round, and what are their fixtures?
Tough. I think that these are tougher than ours. They've got West Brom away tomorrow. West Brom will need a reaction after Friday.
Yep.
They've then got Coventry at home. Coventry, you don't want to play Coventry particularly. Norwich at home in a midweek game. Norwich are going to be fighting for the playoffs. Burnley at home, which could very well be Burnley's crowning game. It could be the game they clinch the title potentially. Stoke away and finish with Bristol City at home.
Yeah, but are they tough? You're just building a narrative. Bar Burnley, maybe Norwich, you're just building a narrative. Coventry, that's a tough game. But if you look at it as Coventry, that's an easy game. Stoke, that could be an easy game.
For us, West Brom away was one of the best one of the worst games of the season. West Brom were brilliant. Coventry at home for us, Coventry were brilliant. Coventry go to QPR. Coventry were
Coventry pulled it round against us away as well.
Yeah, correct.
You know,
Norwich on the day are a very, very good team. As a good Burnley could cleanse the tile. Stoke have turned it around and one of the form teams in the entire division at the minute. Again, that's not till the end of the month, and then Bristol City are, well, they've still got the streaky Lee Johansson.
West Brom are also the 6th best home team in the league this season.
It's tough running. We've got Wigan and Cardiff. That's why our running's is better, because you've got 2 teams down there. Ben's smiling because he doesn't agree.
No, it's just how you look at it, isn't it? I wouldn't class that as tough because it's end of season and it's football. So
when we play Burnley on a Tuesday night, that's not tough.
Yeah, that I said except Burnley.
Okay, fair enough. The fixtures for Monday are Huddersfield at the early kickoff, which I assume is on Sky. They are home to Blackburn. Blackburn lost on Friday to Norwich. Cardiff host Sunderland. I'll mention Blackpool, but I think they're dead and buried. Blackpool go to Luton, which is going to, again, very, very, very tough. Reading go away to Preston. Preston are a good, an average home team, so that could be interesting. QPR go to West Brom, as I've already mentioned. Wigan host Swansea. Mick, we think when you're going to win at home, when you're already 2 points clear, thinking, it's a relegation battle. So if we win, most of the teams won't pick up too much. That'll increase to 4 points. It could increase to 5 points. It increased by 1 point. It just shows how crucial it was. And you just got to keep that going. You got to keep. We're going a 3-game unbeaten run, 4-game unbeaten run. Even if they're draws, you're ticking over while other teams aren't going to win.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 or 3 wins we need. We really do to make ourselves safe. That I don't think Cardiff are going to be anywhere near the end of the season.
No,
I really don't. How they've ended up down there, well, I'm going to say it's beyond me. It's not, because when we saw them play at their place, they were awful. It was just that we were more awful. It's probably one of the worst games of football I've ever seen. That game,
other than Blackpool,
which was just QPR are the issue, aren't they, in this relegation battle? Because they have got some quality players in that squad. We just have to hope that Gareth does his usual trick and saps all the quality out of them.
Yeah, but maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, I think that is the problem.
I think it is,
He wants
not aims at taking it out, the fact that they've got talent. They expect they should be winning games.
The talent's been injured. Chair's been injured for a long time. Willock's been injured for a long time.
But that's also the danger as well, because they have got that quality. So if it suddenly clicks, that's where that any means necessary win could come from.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't write off QPR just yet.
No.
If I'm being honest.
I feel like Huddersfield are more of a threat than QPR.
Yeah.
You think
going, I think they are.
Huddersfield.
Yes, they are. I'll give you Reading's running, because Reading's, again, is very interesting. Sam Hillfield says that tough running, lots of injuries. Mentioned they go to Preston tomorrow. They then host Burnley, host Luton, which was first and third, is it? Or first and fourth? They then have Coventry away, which again is a tough place to go. Their last 2 games could be blockbusters. They've got Wigan at home and Huddersfield away at their last 2 games. But then us playing Cardiff and then Wigan at last 2 games again, we could be saying the same sort of thing.
It's down to us. It's down to us. Listen, we've talked about the way Rotherham United have played over the last few games. They came out on Saturday and they got into players into the opposition's face. They played with intensity. We pressed high. We did everything that we've been at. We put balls into the box. We had shots on goal. All the things that we've been asking for, we did.
Yeah.
We just need to keep doing that. And it's not a big ask. But what happens is, and what has happened, is that we go back into our shell and we don't do any of those things for the full 90 minutes of games. We can't afford to do that once more this season until we're safe. We cannot afford it. Every game has to be played with the same intensity and the same intent that we played yesterday, on Friday, sorry. You know, we can't be going to Norwich and sitting down and sitting back. We need to play in exactly the same way. If we sit back, we will lose. It's as simple as that. We will lose. So you might as well lose going forward and attacking. That's my view.
I mentioned on the instant reaction, I maybe didn't word it as well. I said they were too good to go down, this team, which is obviously not true. But they have got more than enough ability to stay up. They don't have to play well. This is the thing with this team. They don't have to play well to win. And the difference is, if you look at previous seasons, every single time under the previous management, we had to be at 100%, 110% to get 3 points. Even sometimes they get a point. Whereas this team, the Sunderland game is a really good example. We weren't very good against Sunderland, but we beat a really, really, really good Sunderland team. In the first half against West Brom, I don't think we were amazing, but we still more than matched a team that were chasing for the playoffs. That's not a team that's going to go down. If they go down, if they do go down, this team, they've got to give themselves such a long, hard look in the mirror, because they should be nowhere near relegation zone. That includes the management as well. I don't think we will go down, but we shouldn't go down. We just shouldn't, and I don't think we will. I mentioned it earlier. I might need taking down a peg. I've got so much confidence in this team to pick up enough points. I can't see us not picking up at least 6 more points this season. I just can't see us not doing that. Whether it's a win and a few draws, I've just got so much confidence in the players to just turn up.
It's funny you said that. I've just noted us down as getting 6 more points this season too.
I can see that. Go on, Ben.
I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah, it's all good. It's all good players turning up, but if they don't turn up as a team, then it doesn't matter. I think relegation battle is not about how much how much good players you got on your team. It's more about how you play as a team.
Yeah,
again,
but the quality should see us through as well, though. I think that's the difference. We've had heart before, and the heart didn't work because we didn't have the quality. We've now got the quality.
Yeah, but you can have heart. There's a difference between heart and playing as a team.
All
right. I think a certain veteran player knows that who's not in the squad, but that's a different thing.
Okay. John Morrell says, "I'll ask me on Twitter tomorrow." Yeah, I could see us losing tomorrow. You don't want to go to Norwich. You've obviously got to. Norwich is a tough place to go. We've gone long, but we'll sort of wrap this up relatively quickly. But Danny, Norwich is a tough place to go. They won on Friday. They're a point behind Blackburn in the last playoff spot. They're going to be well up for it. That Norwich. I mentioned it's a tough place to go. What would you want? We all want 3 points. What would you realistically see? Could you see a nick and a point? Could you see nicking all 3?
Like you say, Norwich is a tough place to go. It's ever so slightly less tough than New York Stadium, which is quite funny. Because we're 12th best home team and Norwich are 13th. They don't really score much at home, but they concede. They don't really concede much either, from being honest. It's one of them things where, like, just to bounce off what Ben said about having heart and quality and etc., we've got the heart and the quality to be in the relegation scrap, but be ever so slightly on the cusp of it, on the cusp of survival, effectively. Whereas Norwich are the opposite; they're on the cusp of the playoffs, so they've got the heart to try and the desire and sort of performance level to try and get into the playoffs. So it's a very different end of the spectrum for both teams. And I suppose it boils down to how well can we apply the quality that we see at home away. So far, not very well. But the away games that we have won, we've played exceptionally well in Stoke and Sheffield United. And then the games where we've got draws, for example, the first point from being behind came away at Swansea. So it's one of them where if our application's on point, we'll get at least a point. If our application isn't on point, we won't get any. So that boils down to how we are on the day. I can see us getting a point tomorrow. And I'd be happy with a point minimum. If we get a win, I'm over the moon, absolutely. But I think we need to at least aim for a minimum of a point tomorrow. Never aim for the point itself. Aim for the minimum of the point. Aim for the win, but drop back on the point if you have to. So at the point we are at the point in the season. I've said point a lot. We're at the stage in the season. I'll say that instead, where every point matters. So if you can't get all three, for example, away at Norwich, get the one. Keep it ticking over because that's where it counts now at the end of the season. Yeah,
we should point out this is the highest points total.
You've said points again. Someone check back a tally.
Yeah. The last time we had this many points in a season in the Championship was under Neil Warnock. The last two seasons we finished on 42 points, I think 40 points, and went down with them. So it will be really frustrating to get this amount of points and still go down, even though it was an improved total. Yeah, Nick, again, just maybe wrap this up in a minute. We'll get some predictions. But in this season under Matt Taylor, when we've won a game, there's been something else after. It's not very often we win and then lose straight away. It's been a win and a second win, or a win and a draw and a good performance. I mentioned last week about being streaky. That seems to be, and I think that's why I think we'll stay up. Do you think we could continue to see a continuation of that streakiness?
Maybe, but I want 6 more points, and then you can be as streaky as you like. You know, I think if we can play with the same intensity tomorrow on Monday against Norwich, we'll get a win. You know, they've got issues in terms of injuries. They're under pressure because they're tipped to go straight back up because they are the yo-yo team. They're already in the playoffs at the moment. You know, they're under pressure. So if we can play with that same intensity, then we can get something out of the game. No question about it. But if we don't play like that, we'll get battered.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we'll see.
John Morell says they played them this season. We played well, had a chance at Norwich, got absolutely battered. When they turn up, they are real quality. Tomorrow doesn't decide where you finish. No, and that's the thing, Ben. As fans, as a player, you've got to turn up to win. But if we lose tomorrow 2-1, 2-0, are we upset? And there'll be reasons, we'll all look at the reasons why we lost the game. But winning and losing at Norwich doesn't define your season necessarily, especially away games, especially our away record as well.
No, yeah, I'm definitely. If we lose tomorrow, it's not, you don't put kids out because you're already down. Do you know what I mean? It's not one of them at all. It's just, I don't know. It's just a game, innit? It's just it's not a game, yeah, but it's not Cardiff game. Like I wouldn't have it circled on the calendar or on your schedule, but it's not. It's also if you win. It's like the Sunderland game. So if you lose, fair enough, you might have lost because they're a better team. They're higher in the division. That is what it is. But if you win, that's massive. That is honestly massive.
It's a statement.
It's massive. Yeah, it's a statement. It's massive. The morale boost that it would give, it would be unreal and unmatched.
Yeah. Yeah. I was putting in terms of survival. We're obviously above, 5 teams that are below us, between us and the relegation spot. 1, 2, 3, 4 teams. All 4 of those teams have got to have better ends to the season than us. All 4 of them for us to go down. And that, when you sort of brought it down, can you really see all 4 of them having better ends to the season? I can't.
You can see 2 of them having a better end, maybe even 3. But for all 4 of them to better our results is a big ask. But we still got to get those results. We're still going to go out there and show what we're made of. And I think they will. It's just we need to hit some consistency. Yeah. That's the key. It's absolutely key. But I mean, that's everybody in this division saying the same, aren't they? There's only Burnley at consistency. That's it.
Yeah.
Even Sheffield United have been inconsistent.
Yeah. Correct, yeah. Well done to Burnley, by the way. We should say that. Well done to Burnley. Getting promoted. Championship record. The earliest the team's ever got promoted in the Championship, which is brilliant for them. But hopefully they'll have the title wrapped up by the time they rock up to New York Stadium. That'd be lovely. I saw the way they were celebrating after the game on Saturday. I hope they celebrate that much after the game prior to playing us, because that'd be fun.
If we can even take 2 points off Burnley, that would be unreal. That would be unreal. Yeah. If we can get a point out of that game.
It nearly took all 3 off them if it weren't for that referee.
Well, yeah.
I'm still angry about that, by the way.
Mike Miller says, Matt, you guys were pretty confident when we hit 40 points, false stones, then what happened? My confidence in terms of staying up has never faltered since since that QPR game. I've still been as confident that we will stay up, because I just got faith that those performances are in this team, which we saw on Friday. That performance is in this group of players. So if it's there, then we'll see that at least one more time this season, which will take us to 47 points. If we can pick up another couple of draws somewhere, or maybe another win, that's done. That's season over. That's why my confidence is so high. Look, I might be wrong. I might be sitting here with egg on my face in early May.
Going down on 51 points.
Oh, can you imagine? You know what I mean?
That would be unreal. But the thing is, even if you do it, that's fair enough. That is what it is.
Yeah, I think the record's 54. I think to go down at that point, you just sort of say, "Well,
it is what it is.
It is what it is."
As it stands right now, we're on course for 52 points on points per game.
Yeah, exactly.
But if we pick up another 6, I'm happy.
50 is the key. 50 it's the magic 50.
If we stay on for a point a game and we've got 7 games left, easy peasy. We won't do that.
If Reading and QPR win tomorrow, somebody check on Matt. If we're somehow in the relegation zone tomorrow, I'll just delete this episode from YouTube. Predictions. I thought we've got an hour and 20 minutes nearly here. Mick, prediction.
I'm going to work on the basis that we put the same performance in that we put in on Friday. And I'm going to be positive, because I'm always positive, as you know. I'm a positive person. Never a negative thing comes out of my mind.
You're right.
2-1 Rotherham. Yeah, I'm fine, mate. I'm just being positive. 2-1.
2-1. Good grief.
Interesting. Benjamin?
I'm going to go 0-0.
Dull,
but would be a good result.
Say again, sorry.
I said it is dull, but it would be a good result.
Yeah.
It would, yeah. Danny?
I'm going to say 1-1.
I like it. I'm going to 1-0. Fancy as a clean sheet. Don't know why. As people have mentioned in the comments, here's Jordan Hugill's former club, but he is quite well liked. If you watch the Talk Norwich City podcast that came out in February time, he's very, very well liked, which again might play in his advantage. You don't know. Have to wait and see. Christopher says 1-1. So does Kim Hayward. John S says 0-0. John Morell says, sadly, Norwich 3-1. Worst time to play them, if possible. Nicholas Skidmore says 1-1, but the head says 2-0 to Norwich. Josh Hinchliffe says 3-1 win. Hugill with 2, Rathbone with the other. Pookie to score for them. They've got keeper problems and defensive problems, I should say. Gavin says 1-1 realistic. Harvey IFC says 2-1 Norwich. We are Rotherham United. We don't make things easy. That's right. Jamie says another 3-1 win. Graham Lindley says 1-1. Michael Miller says 1-2 to Norwich. Kiwi says 2-1 to Mills. Matt Squires says 0-0. Gaza. Thank you very much, Gaza. Says 4-1 to Rotherham.
Nicely, Gaza. There, mate.
It's tough afternoon. Just try and enjoy the day. If you go into Norwich, try and enjoy the day. It's a long trip. Try and enjoy the Norwich on a bank holiday. And then it don't get much easier. We've got a Luton coming to town next Saturday, which is not much easier. Might be harder. But there we are.
Part of the fun and games, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all part of the championship. Thank you, everybody, who've been with us. Please do subscribe. You're on YouTube already. Please do subscribe. We're creeping up to 950. We would like to get to 1,000 before the end of the season, which is a bit of work from where we are. But if you haven't subscribed yet, please do go over and subscribe. If you've got a second YouTube account, subscribe to that one and all. Get the numbers up. If you're on iTunes, Spotify, and you're listening to this on the way to Norwich, safe travels. and make sure you subscribe. And if you give it a 5-star rating as well, that really helps sort of push the podcast up a little bit. Without having to do very much. We would very much appreciate that. Anything else, boys, that we need to mention, talk about?
Don't forget, if you can, subscribe. Subscribe. You know what I mean. Donate to Andy Womble's fundraiser for Dementia UK. Or subscribe as well if you want.
Yeah. I will retweet that now. I will, as Mick's going to roll titles, I will retweet the link now so that if anybody wants to see that, they can see it through our account. Or I think, is it Matt Squires on Twitter that's tweeted it out?
Matt's tweeted it on, put it out on Twitter. But it's for Trevor Womble, top Miller from the 70s, a hell of a player was our Trev. Cracking cause.
I have tweeted it out now. So if you're listening on the podcast, you will be able to see it. If you're on YouTube, you will now be able to see it. Someone else. Ben being back will always increase the popularity anyway, guys. We've got the Sky Blue Hub cheering us on tomorrow as well. Will hopefully do us a favour. Coventry need to do us a favour as well with some of the teams they've got left to play as well. So
absolutely.
Do each other a favour and see you in the Championship next season, hopefully.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, very much. Thank you for being with us. And thank you, Ben. Thank you, Mick. Thank you, Danny. We'll see you all next time. Ben won't be here, probably. Up the Millers.
Up the Millers.
Ravel, vicious, but brilliant. Hugill with it. Wood's got around the back, and Richie Wood has done it again. The magic man has come up with another trick. Well, here's a chance to seal it. It's done.